Hello my dear church boys, I'm in the cold New York City. I'm here to coach a few students and make a video where you can actually learn about the best day game spots in this city. So you will see the progress of two students I'm coaching here and also us exploring several popular day game locations in this city and me commenting on which ones are worth checking out and which ones are not. We are exploring with a student the lovely neighborhood of Soho, which is one of the two most popular day game spots in New York City. And why are we here? Because it's a Sunday morning and this is a place that's almost always busy. You go there in the morning, it's gonna be busy. You go there during the day or in the evening, it's always gonna be busy. Well, the first lesson about day gaming in a place like New York City that you have to understand that I have explained to the student is you have to understand the city stuff. People are in a rush, they're not the friendliest people in the world, so it's just part of the game. It's kind of part of the rule set and you have to accept it. And if you keep struggling in the beginning, you have to understand this isn't really about you, it's about the city and it's to be expected of this city. So you did the first session, 10 sets, I did 4 demos. You said when you are on your own, you have to kind of think much more before opening, and now you kind of could approach without thinking too much. So the homework would be tomorrow, do 5 sets on your own. And I would even say maybe set a timer between the sets and don't spend more than 5 minutes between the sets.
Okay.
Set a timer, do a first set in 5 minutes, right after the set, reset the timer, 5 more minutes, next set. All you have to do is to just stop them, deliver the line, regardless how they react. What we need is for you to be able to approach on your own. Out to work for the second student for the 6th the same day. To be honest, I am already a little bit tired. This city always makes me a bit tired. But this student day games already on his own and knows the city a little bit. So I will actually ask him where does he want to go, where does he want to game, and we will go and explore whatever neighborhood he prefers. We are in Soho, because the student actually prefers this area, likes this area for day game, but Broadway was so busy that we decided to hit a little bit smaller street, and we are on West Broadway, which is right next to the Broadway, but it's a more chilled out street, not as busy, so it's a bit easier for some people to day game there. So far, we've seen nothing pretty crazy, pretty typical, a bit of AA, but other than that, the start looks very promising. We're on Broadway because it got dark, so in the dark it's better to stay in well-lit areas. So they see you're coming, leave a bit more distance, make sure they see you, and you should be fine, because a lot of guys get a bit scared in darker places, but you really shouldn't be. You just have to know a few ground rules and that's it. So I've spent 2 hours in Soho with the second student E, and the main things that we have to talk about. So number one, your game, because you've gamed before a lot, is actually very good. Some concepts where I thought, oh, why did you do that? And you said, oh, like I did it because there was not enough attraction and that's why I did this crazy spike. And that's actually a very high level advanced thinking about day game, and you have had a lot of experience in game before and some good results, but now you're getting back into it. So you have a lot of things you're doing right. Your stop is fine, your voice is fine, your stacking in a way is fine. So a lot of things are fine. We're not gonna work on the basics because we're not gonna try to fix what's already working. What we are gonna do is we're gonna look at all the things you're doing and like adjust them slightly. Like small tweak here, small tweak there. One thing we will work on in the next session is your open is great and your stacking is great if you look at how people used to day game before, but what I want out of stacking is not just to spark emotions. So Trinity from the Matrix sparks emotions. Is it easy for her to respond with something that's an easy conversation topic? No. So we will work on stacking a little bit in the next session in a way that makes it the easiest answer she could give to you would be a topic to talk about. So if you say the same stack that everyone uses, you look so relaxed, I thought you're coming from a yoga session or you're high, again, she will probably start telling why she is so relaxed. Of course, we're not gonna be using that because everyone does that, but we're gonna come up with a few stacks and practice them so that the easiest response from her would be a topic to talk about. And good morning, this is day 2. I am with Z, the first student I coached yesterday, and we're meeting again. And we're going to show you another place in this lovely city where you can try to go and do sets. It's very close to Soho. It's very close to another location where we will go afterwards. Let's go. So here we are. This place is called Astor Place, and it's a bit further up if you go up to Lafayette, and you will end up at a square with a beautiful weird cube, and this is where you will find good traffic. And even now it's noon and it's already busy enough to day game, and what we'll be focusing on today is the student opening on his own without me pointing out who he should open, and that way he will build up the habit to pick his own sets, not think too much, and when he goes out on his own, it will be much easier for him to approach as well. So one important thing to understand here in this lovely city is, well, when I was coaching guys in Ukraine, we were in a city where 80% of chicks don't speak English, but they still enjoyed their coaching there, and they still were getting results. So you will get a lot of kind of blowouts or chicks leaving because they just don't speak the language. Whereas in New York, everyone speaks English, but a lot of people don't give a fuck about you or me or anyone else. So you have to understand that when you are in a city like New York and you get tons of blowouts or tons of kind of chicks leaving fast or not even stopping, you have to understand it's not about you, guys. It's not about you. In some cases, it's about the city. It's about the environment where you are. And some guys are saying, oh, this city is really good for game, or that city is really good for game. Well, they're looking for a miracle, and it doesn't exist because every city has its challenges. Here you get tons of blowouts. In Ukraine, chicks don't speak English. You go to another place, you get numbers, they are flaky, etc., etc. So you're just kind of choosing what challenges you want to have based on a city where you day game. That's it. So that's kind of the theme of this city. And let's go explore some more. And we are in the Washington Square Park, which is, well, if you are from New York City and you day game, then you know this place because this is the place where everyone's going, where everyone's gaming. It's very popular for day gamers, and for a reason. It's very close to many things, NYU, New York University, so you'll get a ton of good traffic here. Definitely a place worth checking out, especially when it's warmer weather, because it's usually full with people are hanging out here. You'll get tons of chicks here. At the same time, remember, there are a bunch of other day gamers here if it's a good, nice summer day. We explored that park a little bit, and now we are on our way to a different park that's not too far away, and I just did a set with a very cute girl who I knew is not from the city, who's a tourist. And why did I do that? Because that's a set that's gonna be much easier, and in this city especially, it's gonna be much harder with chicks that live here. So some students say, oh, it doesn't count, she was a tourist, she was not from here, she was new in town, it's easier. Yes, it is. It counts. That's what you actually should shoot for when you are learning in tougher cities, because why would you make life harder for yourself? The goal isn't to prove anything to the world, prove anything to whoever. The goal is to get results. So if you see someone who is gonna be an easier target, a tourist, chick that's obviously new in town, always open her. It's gonna be much easier. They're way more likely to stop, to give you their time, to react well, give the numbers, and then come out, because once they kind of get settled in, they will have their social circle. Everyone has stuff to do here, so they're always busy. Whereas girls that have just arrived, well, they don't have much to do. So always go for tourists, girls that have just arrived, for the easier targets. Well, the next park I was gonna go check out was Union Square, but they are building the holiday or Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever that is market. So it's actually really empty. We're still gonna explore the neighborhood around Union Square and try to find and do some sets here. And I do have a little greens market here, sort of like a farmer's market where people are shopping for whatever overpriced things they want. And we're waiting for one chick to finish her shopping to open her, but this looks actually pretty nice. You have some people that are definitely not in a rush, just enjoying their day. So even though it is emptier than I thought, it still looks like a very good spot to check out and to do some sets, so we'll definitely do a few sets here and then find the next location. Obviously, any locations that I'm showing you are just examples, and you don't have to stick to them, and I suggest not sticking to them, not to just go to the same places over and over again, because that's what everyone else is doing. That's where you'll find a bunch of other guys. So what you can simply do is, if you look at all these places on a map, Washington Square Park, Union Square, Soho, you'll see that they're all kind of in the same neighborhood. So explore the streets near them, and you will find your own favorite spots that other people don't go to and that other guys don't even know about. So a student just asked me, and the student one, let's call it Z, student one, is a shorter guy, and he is of Indian heritage. So guys that are shorter have their beliefs about who they should approach and shouldn't, and guys that are from Indian background or in general brown, they have their own, again, beliefs of what works for them, and this will definitely not work for them. And again, I've worked with tall guys, I've worked with short guys, I worked with, I think, all races. And to answer his question, it's all in your head. Some chicks will not like that you're shorter, and yes, you will get rejections or worse reactions because of that, but there are chicks that don't care. So you have to understand that there are girls that will not like you. It's part of the equation. Maybe you're too tall, too short, too white, too black, too whatever, too old, too tattooed, too young. If you like her, you should approach. If you don't like her, while you are learning, you should still open all types. Let's say some guys don't like princessy chicks. They should open princessy chicks, because a lot of the times the fact they don't like princessy chicks is because they are expecting to get bad reactions, or businessy chicks, and they think, oh my god, she'll blow me out, or they have bad reference experiences. So you should actually open anyone who's hot in the beginning, even regardless of whether she is your type or not. And here we are at Oculus, which is a place in Lower Manhattan that's connected to subways, to trains to New Jersey, and it has very good foot traffic if you know when to come here. And of course, around Oculus, you can go outside and explore the side streets near there. You'll see a bunch of streets pretty full with people. This is very close to Wall Street. So all of this area around Oculus, World Trade Center, is actually good. You can explore all of those streets. It's the end of a long coaching day. Student did 2 sessions in one day. By the end of the day, we saw that you are getting tired. You are starting to make some mistakes in the sets that guys make when they get tired. They become slightly a bit robotic, which is something that I want you to work, because you have 2 days off now. So don't go out a lot. Don't do a lot, but do a little bit. If you do a lot, you'll be just tired, because right now we've done 2 sessions today and I'm exhausted. I assume you are exhausted. You were, in a way, one of the lucky guys who had the opportunity to spread out the coaching days over a longer period of time, because if you do 3 or 5 days in a row, it's really tiring. So go out either tomorrow or day after that, do a few sets, but what I want you to do is record your sets and listen back to your set right after you do it, not when you go home, but right after you do it, and pay attention. The one thing that is happening, you are sounding a little bit robotic, like those lines are copy-paste. So just pay attention to that, and I just simply want you to hear that, and that even realizing that and hearing yourself do that will help you a lot to figure out what to do and just to be more aware of that. And we're out again, and today I'm working with a student I worked on the first day, E, and E is around 40, a pretty tall guy. Today we are again next to Union Square. But what we're gonna do here, we're gonna explore streets around this area for one reason. This place has a lot of beggars and people talking about their religion and spreading awareness of breast cancer and whatnot. So we wanna make sure we're not right next to people who do all of that shit, but we'll be on smaller streets right very close to that area. So today we're exploring a different neighborhood around 34th Street near Macy's, right near the Penn Station. If you look it up on Google Maps, you'll see where it is. It looks very, very busy, and a friend of mine said you will need strong front stops because everyone's kind of in a rush. Let's see how this neighborhood is for day game as well. One thing I can definitely say about this part of town, it is very busy. The streets are very full. But I would also say there's some good quality, a bit different type. Maybe you see a lot of more hipstery girls, but still very beautiful hipstery girls. So it's definitely a place worth checking out for your day game sessions. So we explored the area around Macy's. It was pretty busy, and in an area like that that's very very busy with many street vendors and people trying to sell you shit and beggars and all of these things, it just always is a bit harder to day game. We checked out the area near Times Square, of course, full of tourists if you want to go for tourists, but again many street vendors or people trying to sell you shit. And to have a bit more of a chill vibe, we went to the Bryant Park, which is just a few streets up from where we started. So if you are struggling day gaming in places that are very very busy and for whatever reason you're just not getting good reactions when you stop the girls, etc. So what you can do is you can go to a more chilled out environment. And a great example is parks, and that's why we are at this park. You'll just find people chilling out, not that much in a rush. Student did open a seated girl, and that's one of the things you can do if you kind of keep struggling with walking or standing girls. You can just focus on stationary sets, and if they're reacting good, you stay in a set, but as soon as you feel they don't want you to talk to them, just eject, leave them in peace, but it will definitely give you more opportunities to practice the beginning of a set. We did the Bryant Park, we did an area around Times Square, and actually our area around Times Square wasn't that bad. You can find tourists here, and tourists are always a good idea. Bryant Park definitely proved to be a place where we found much more chilled out people, so if you are really struggling with stopping chicks, then parks are always a good idea. Check out Bryant Park. And I think this area, as busy as it is and is as full with people that are trying to sell you something it is, I've still found students doing pretty fucking good here as well. And the lesson of this session with a student is remember to have fun. Day game is technical, day game is systematic, but remember you're doing this for fun. Have a laugh, smile, teaser, maybe a bit too much at some points, but it's fine, you will learn the limits, but remember to have some fun when day gaming. And it is my last day in the city, and let's slowly start wrapping up this video. I am coaching 2 coaching sessions today, and the way I want to wrap this up, I want to talk about both of the students and their experience in New York City, because they were very different, they had very different challenges and learned very different lessons. I'm right now out with E, and E is in his 40s. He used to have very good game, both day game and night game, when he was around 10 years younger. And when we met, he said he wasn't sure whether he can do it when he is 10 years older, in his 40s now, especially after having taken some time off. And well, with him, he is really back at where he was before, maybe even better, he said. He's running great sets, getting, of course, still New York, still tons of blowouts, still tons of very short sets, but he's getting several good sets out of every 10 sets he does, both indoors and outdoors. So I would say he's doing pretty fucking good. The biggest thing he had to learn was to actually just get back out there, do tons of volume, and add a bit more structure on top of what he already knew. Because he had some game, he's able to improvise, he's able to storytell, he's cheeky, he really understands the inner part of game or the natural part of game, but he lacked structure, and that was what was missing in his game. And I would say he definitely has learned that now. I also think that he is a really good example of how well you can do in your 40s, even when you don't have such a good style, because he does look like a guy in his 40s and he really has to pimp up his style, but he said he will work with my stylist to improve it. But he's doing really good, opening some really hot chicks and sometimes getting really good results with them. So I think he really deserves a lot of credit. Another important thing worth mentioning about the city, you always have to keep the tension until the hook point. So what just happened in a set is a student opened the set, got a topic, but was all over the place. He wasn't following the structure. He didn't went straight into storytelling, straight into teasing. Instead he had like a bit of an American chit chat. And as soon as he did that, chick started saying, "Oh yeah, I gotta meet a friend, I gotta go." So she was starting to eject. And what he did, he remembered the structure. He said, "Oh, by the way, I had friends who are from there, da 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 da. Started telling the three things story, and as soon as he starts doing that, she's staying there, she's listening, she's starting to invest, and it turned into a 10-minute set. You have to keep the tension until the hook point in a city like this. In other cities it might work without that, but here it's going to be very hard if you don't follow the structure in the beginning of a set. Now in the evening session I'm coaching Z again, and Z is the complete opposite. Z is a guy who learns game a little bit slower, and especially because of the city, because it is a very tough city. So what do you do when you are in a really tough city where you know you will get worse results and you see that it affects your vibe? So you have to stick to the easiest places. You have to stick to chilled out places like parks where people are chilling out. You can do a lot of seated sets, you can do a lot of standing sets. If it's cold, do most of your game indoors, because again, if it's cold outside, everyone just wants to go wherever they're going, and unless your game is really strong, they're not really gonna want to stop and talk to you for too much time outside in a cold weather. And if you are learning slower in a city like New York, and you know that you're gonna do 10 sets and maybe just get only a few positive reactions that will end up in actual sets, actual conversations, you have to understand it will impact your vibe, it will impact your mood. So you need other things in your life to help you stay positive, whether that's great friends or other hobbies, other things that help you stay happy, whatever that is, or maybe great wings. So you have to think about that, because getting many negative reactions from the game can sometimes make you spiral down. So just think about it a little bit if that's the case for you. But if you have learned to stay in a positive vibe, and if you are following the structure, if you are using technical game, you're not improvising, you're not mixing different materials, your sets have enough tension to keep the girl from leaving, sooner or later you have to start getting results. Okay, dear church boys, it's the end of the trip. In 30 minutes I am heading to an airport to head over to Panama, where I'll be for a few days before going to Colombia and a bunch of different places. I'm spending all of my winter in South America. So let's make a big summary about Daygame in New York City. You have to be ready for very different reactions here. You will see girls that are very open to chatting with you, very nice, very warm. You will see chicks that will just walk around you. You'll see chicks that will be rude. Don't take it personally, just be ready for it. In this city you need very tight game. You can be hot, you can be rich, you can be whatever the hell you want. In this city no one cares, because a lot of people in the city are living very good lives, or they have a bunch of people around them who are living very good lives, or if they're hot, the chicks. They have guys who are trying to get with them, trying to seduce them, trying to hit on them, who have probably way more than you have. So you really need good game. Your game has to be tight. And now the positive. If you are ready to face all the challenges that this city has when it comes to day game, then this is a perfect place for day game for several reasons. Well, the hotness here is really high level. You can see really hot chicks every day. In Broadway, in shopping malls, you will see really beautiful girls. That's number one. Another thing is volume. You get effectively unlimited volume in this city. However many times you fail, there's always more and more girls to open. And whatever your type is, whatever your thing is, maybe you like white girls, you like black girls, you like Asian girls, you like Indian girls, you like, I don't know, Latinas, whatever it is, you can find it in this city, and you can find it in huge quantities. So you might be asking, wait, if New York is so tough, why would anyone go on a day game trip to New York? Well, as Mr. T said when I asked him this question, he said, well, actually there are some people that live here, and they don't really have options to move to other places. They're here for their work. And yes, in that case, you have to understand you live in a tough city for day game. This is your environment. If you choose to do it in this city, it's gonna be tough. Well, it is what it is, but If you are not from New York City and you're asking yourself, why would I ever go to the city? Well, if you are still starting out, if you're a beginner or intermediate and you still think that going to tough day game places is the way you improve your game and you test your game, it actually is like that. And if you want to test your game, if you want a challenge, but with very hot chicks, then I would say New York City is the place to go in the USA. If you can travel further, well, you have Europe, you have Eastern Europe, you have Latin America, but if you can only travel in the US and you want a game in English and not worry about the language barrier, then this is the place to go to. I agree with the statement that if you can make it in New York City, then you can most likely make it in most places in the world, at least in the westernized part of the world. If you do live here, then here are a few tips to think about when you are gaming here. So number one, you have to follow the model to the teeth. Really think, okay, how was my opener? How was my stack? What was the topic she gave me? What was the story or the thesis I used? How did she respond? Do I need to do something else? Is there a hook point? No. Okay, what's the next stack? What's the next topic I'm getting? What's the next story, or what are the next theses I'm using? Is something happening? Is she hooked? Is she not? Do I need to fish for the hook point? Where are we in a set? So you really have to follow model very precisely. And the second thing is tension in the set before the hook point. If you are following the model, there will always be tension. There will always be something happening. As soon as you release that tension, as soon as you start that American chit chat about the weather, or you start asking stupid questions about where she's from and what you should see if you ever go there and other complete nonsense like that, you will hear the words, I'm meeting my friends, I have to go. So you cannot release the tension in this city until the hook point. Follow the model very strictly. Keep the tension, and after the hook point you can relax, you can chill out and have a normal conversation with her. I have been here for a little bit more than a week, sleeping on this lovely couch at Mr. T's apartment. But as always, when I come to New York, just as happy as I was to come here, I'm much more happier to leave this place. And now it's time to get dressed, pack my bag, go to the airport and head to Panama. So see you in the next vlog.